Harvard researchers studying Japanese centenarians discovered they all share one ancient breathing pattern that literally rewires the brain for longevity. And when tested on Americans over 60, the results were so shocking they tried to suppress the study. What they found was biological transformation. Brain scans showed regions thought to be dormant suddenly lighting up like cities at night. Inflammation markers dropped by 47%. And here's what made them question everything. Participants who practiced this breathing technique for just 90 days showed cellular markers typically found in people 7 years younger. The technique has been hidden in plain sight for 5,000 years, practiced daily by the longest living population on Earth. And today you're going to learn exactly how it works. But first, let's talk about what's actually happening inside your body right now. Every 7 seconds, someone over 60 experiences a moment they'll never talk about publicly. They reach for a word and it vanishes. They stand up and feel their balance shift. They climb stairs and realize their breath can't keep up with their legs. These aren't just inconveniences. They're biological alarms screaming that something fundamental is breaking down. Your brain is suffocating. Not dramatically, not suddenly, but slowly, cell by cell, year by year. Reduced oxygen flow means reduced BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, the protein that quite literally keeps your neurons alive and connected. Without adequate BDNF, your hippocampus shrinks, your prefrontal cortex dims, memory formation slows, decision-making becomes clouded. And it's not just your brain. Your mitochondria, the microscopic power plants in every cell, are gasping for efficient fuel. When they can't process oxygen properly, they produce less ADP and more oxidative stress. Translation: less energy, more inflammation, accelerated aging. You feel it as stiffness in the morning, fatigue by afternoon, a creeping sense that your body is becoming a stranger. Here's the truth most doctors won't tell you. Independence doesn't disappear overnight. It erodes in moments. The moment you need help opening a jar. The moment you decline an invitation because you're not sure you can handle the stairs. The moment you realize you're planning your life around your limitations instead of your desires. Time isn't just passing. It's taking pieces of you with it. But what if I told you that Japanese neuroscientists identified the exact mechanism that reverses this process? In 2018, researchers at the University of Tsukuba conducted a landmark study on oxygen utilization in centenarian populations. They discovered something that contradicted decades of Western medical assumptions. Lung capacity and cardiovascular output weren't the determining factors in longevity. It was oxygen efficiency at the cellular level. And that efficiency was controlled by something far more accessible than genetics or expensive treatments. Breathing pattern. A specific rhythm that triggers what Stanford researchers now call autonomic reset. A complete recalibration of your nervous system that shifts you from chronic stress response into parasympathetic dominance. This is the state where cellular repair happens, where neuroplasticity activates, where your body stops merely surviving and starts regenerating. The science is undeniable. Controlled breathing increases vagal tone, the measurement of your vagus nerve's activity. Higher vagal tone correlates with lower inflammation, improved heart rate variability, and enhanced immune function. Studies from Harvard Medical School show that rhythmic breathing can increase BDNF levels by up to 40% in just 8 weeks. That's neurogenesis. That's your brain growing new connections, new possibilities, new years. But here's what makes the Japanese approach different from Western breathing exercises. They understood something 5,000 years ago that neuroscience is only now confirming. Breath isn't just oxygen delivery. It's information. It's a language your cells understand. And when you speak that language correctly, your body listens. The technique is deceptively simple. They call it the tanden breath, named after the energy center located 2 inches below your navel. In Japanese tradition, the tanden is considered the seat of life force, the reservoir of vitality. In Western terms, it's your body's gravitational center and the focal point for diaphragmatic breathing. Here's the pattern. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds hold, 5 seconds out. But the numbers alone are meaningless without understanding the why. When you inhale for 5 seconds through your nose, you're activating your diaphragm, the dome-shaped muscle that when functioning properly, massages your internal organs, stimulates your vagus nerve, and creates negative pressure that draws lymphatic fluid through your body. This is detoxification at the most fundamental level. The 5-second hold is where the magic happens. This pause allows oxygen to fully diffuse into your bloodstream and reach your mitochondria. It also triggers a subtle stress that tells your body, adapt, strengthen, optimize. It's hormetic stress, the same principle behind exercise, except you're doing it at the cellular level, training your body to use oxygen with ruthless efficiency. The 5-second exhale completes the circuit. This extended release activates your parasympathetic nervous system, dropping cortisol levels and signaling to every cell that it's safe to repair. In this state, your body redirects energy from survival functions to regeneration. Autophagy accelerates. Damaged proteins get cleared. Inflammation subsides. Ancient Japanese practitioners understood this as working with prana, the vital life force that flows through all living things. Modern science calls it optimized gas exchange and autonomic regulation. Both are describing the same phenomenon: your body remembering how to heal itself. What makes this breathing pattern particularly powerful for longevity is its effect on telomeres, the protective caps on your chromosomes that shorten with age. Research from the University of California found that stress reduction techniques, particularly controlled breathing, can slow telomere shortening and even activate telomerase, the enzyme that rebuilds them. This isn't metaphorical anti-aging. This is your DNA responding to information you're giving it through breath. The Japanese centenarians don't think about BDNF or telomerase. They simply breathe this way because their grandparents breathed this way and their grandparents lived to 97. But now we know why it works. The pattern creates coherence between your respiratory rate, heart rate, and brainwave patterns. This coherence is measurable. It shows up on EEGs as increased alpha wave activity. It shows up in blood tests as reduced inflammatory markers. It shows up in brain scans as enhanced connectivity between regions. When you practice the 5-5-5 pattern for just 10 minutes daily, you're essentially giving your body a software update. You're rewriting the code that governs how your cells respond to stress, process energy, and repair damage. Now here's what the research teams discovered that changed everything. This breathing technique unlocks your longevity foundation. It's the master key. Because while the Tanden breath rewires your autonomic nervous system and optimizes oxygen utilization, the Japanese centenarians do something else that amplifies these effects by 300%. 6 specific movements performed in a precise sequence. Each one designed to mobilize areas of your body where stagnation leads to rapid aging. Tomorrow, I'm going to reveal exactly what those movements are and why Harvard researchers called them the most efficient longevity protocol ever documented. These aren't exercises in the Western sense. They're biomechanical adjustments that take less than 12 minutes and can be done without ever getting on the floor. But they only work if your nervous system is properly calibrated first. Which is why you need to start the breathing today, right now. Because every day you wait is another day your cells are operating in survival mode instead of regeneration mode. The centenarians in Okinawa don't wait. They don't overthink. They simply do what works every single day without exception. And that consistency compounds. 5 minutes today becomes 7 years of vitality tomorrow. That's what the longitudinal data shows. So here's your practice, twice daily, morning and evening. Find a quiet space. Sit comfortably with your spine straight. Place one hand on your tanden 2 inches below your navel and breathe. 5 seconds in. 5 seconds hold. 5 seconds out. 10 complete cycles. That's it. That's your entry point into a tradition that has preserved human vitality for 5 millennia. Your body already knows how to heal. You're remembering something ancient, something your cells have been waiting for you to rediscover. Tomorrow we complete the protocol. Tomorrow you'll understand why these 6 movements turn breathing into total body regeneration. But it all starts here with breath, with intention, with the decision to stop accepting decline as inevitable. The Japanese have a saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Your 7 extra years begin with your next breath. What makes this breathing technique particularly effective goes beyond the mechanical aspects of oxygen exchange. When you engage in rhythmic breathing with specific timing intervals, You're synchronizing multiple biological systems that normally operate independently. Your heart rate begins to entrain with your breath cycle, a phenomenon called respiratory sinus arrhythmia. Your blood pressure oscillations align with your respiratory rhythm. Your brain wave patterns shift toward coherent frequencies. This synchronization creates a state of physiological coherence where your body's systems work in harmony rather than in competition. Think of an orchestra where every instrument plays its own melody, creating chaos, versus the same instruments playing in coordination, creating symphony. The 5-5-5 pattern acts as a conductor, bringing your biological systems into coordinated rhythm. The tandem focus serves multiple functions beyond cultural tradition. This area of your body, located at your center of gravity, houses dense networks of neurons often called the enteric nervous system or second brain. When you place attention on this region while breathing, you're activating neural pathways that connect your gut, heart, and brain in ways that reduce anxiety, improve emotional regulation, and enhance decision-making capacity. The 5-second intervals specifically target a breathing rate of 4 cycles per minute. This frequency aligns with natural oscillations in your autonomic nervous system, creating what researchers call resonance frequency breathing. At this rate, your body achieves maximum heart rate variability, a key indicator of resilience and longevity. People with higher heart rate variability consistently show better health outcomes across virtually every measure, from cardiovascular health to immune function to cognitive performance. The hold phase introduces controlled hypoxia, a brief reduction in oxygen availability that triggers adaptive responses throughout your body. Your cells respond to this mild stress by increasing their efficiency in oxygen utilization. Mitochondria become more robust. Red blood cell production optimizes. Your body learns to do more with less, a fundamental characteristic of longevity. The extended exhale activates the parasympathetic nervous system through a mechanism involving pressure receptors in your lungs and blood vessels. When you breathe out slowly, you're triggering the bearer reflex, a circuit that signals your brain to reduce stress hormone production and shift into recovery mode. This is why the exhale matters as much as the inhale, perhaps even more so for people living in chronic stress states. The twice-daily practice recommendation aligns with your body's natural circadian rhythms. Morning practice resets your nervous system for the day ahead, establishing a baseline of calm alertness that carries through waking hours. Evening practice facilitates the transition into restorative sleep, allowing your body to maximize overnight repair processes. The consistency of timing reinforces these benefits by training your body to anticipate and prepare for these states. What centenarian populations demonstrate through their longevity is that simple practices performed consistently over decades compound into extraordinary results. The breathing technique itself takes minutes. The benefits accumulate over years. Each breath is an investment in cellular health that pays dividends in extended health span, the period of life spent in good health rather than merely surviving with chronic disease.